All right, this is Calibos, and we are playing Enigmatica 2. So at this point, we are attempting to build the thing. We've got the visualization going. We just need one more block of iron, and I'm hoping that we have enough room for it. So we'll need a beacon. Pop the beacon on there. Perfect. Now we're going to need some cobble. I think it's like right there. Yeah. So do that. Okay, pile on. So normally I would definitely go through some steps to make this an easier fight. But I suspect very strongly that I'm going to be able to do this, you know, with a little bit of work. Structure complete. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll bump this up. Dig AoE will go up to a 3x3. Excuse me, guys. I'm busy. So rude. So rude. And we're just going to do that. Now, in order to... Oh, where'd you come from? In order to do this, we're going to need to... Where did I get a diamond pickaxe? Very weird. We're going to need to activate the ritual. So, looking at the book, we've done that. Right-click the beacon with a block with a terrasteel ingot. So if you'll remember how we make terrasteel, we come over here, we get some mana. Basically, we get one of each of the mana things. One. Let's get an ender pearl and go ahead and do that. So because I ran these down pretty seriously, it's taking a little while to fill back up, but they will. And as I said, we can pretty much break this for the moment. I didn't actually mean to do that. Like, not a giant area. I forgot that it was, you know, big. So it's ready, and when we get there, we can just fill it back up again. Or just right-click it and go. So one of the other problems we're going to have is oh man, I didn't think this planned through. Like this has to be full so that this will draw so that we can do the thing because it's not going to work. Because there's not enough mana coming towards it, probably. Oh, it worked. Sweet. Crisis averted. And we, wait, did it say... shift right-click the beacon? I knew that. So the grounds are improper. So that's the barrier. Oh, this is a problem. Let's try this again. Do I need to drop this one? Is that what has to go on? This could be a problem too, actually. I keep doing that. Okay, let's crank this down. Dig AOE, we'll go down to 1. Dig speed multiplier, we'll drop that back down again. So I think that we need to actually drop this. We'll try it like this and see what happens. Yeah, let's drop it by 1. So, as weird as this may sound, I don't actually fight the Gaia Guardian that often. Because I don't especially feel that I need anything that is locked behind the Gaia Guardian fights. And I kind of find them really annoying. So the first one's not so bad. But the second one is faster. And while they do offer some tangible benefits, I'm not sure that the benefits outweigh the hassle of the fight. Maybe it's the torches. We'll try it. But yeah, as I said, it's really, really picky about the grounds. Basky is trying very hard to make it so that it's very challenging to cheat. But I mean, how do you determine what cheating is? I may simply need to move it further away. Large gaps in the floor. I don't think that there's any large gaps in the floor. One thick should be all you need. Because I've done this on Skyblocks. Just put a dirt down so you can't tell. So what could it possibly be saying? So this is the range. That should be outside the range. I wonder if this is the thing. Yep, that was it. It was that tree. I don't know if you can hear. Options. Sound. Music. So, if you're not in Draconic armor, this fight can be a super pain. There are recommendations that you do this in Elementium armor with the Elementium sword. This part is also generally a hassle, and I recommend that if you're going to do this one and you have trouble fighting like hordes of mobs for some reason, that you set down the Botania flowers that that kill hostile mobs for you. And we're just waiting until the life counter turns back to normal. So there is actually a range at which we cannot go. Okay, so the Gate Guardian's back down again, throwing stuff at us. This part of the fight is faster. Alright, so we have defeated the Gate Guardian. Hi. Epic Shader, Queen Bee, Gaia Spirits. That's that. So now we can go to the quest book. We have the Gaia Pylons. Claim that. We have the Gaia Spirits. Ice and a Resonator, in case we care. We don't. Go back to the quest book. So it wants us to make an Elven Mana Spreader. Now, Elven Mana Spreaders are actually really cool. They shoot mana faster. So if we look at this, this is actually keeping up, right? But if I had more than 4 flowers here, it might struggle to keep up. So an Elven Mana Spreader shoots faster. And I think a little bit further, so that you could do this without having to worry about the Mana Spreader basically clogging with mana. Yeah, see, these are pretty solid. They're filling up. So let's go ahead and make an Elven Mana Spreader. Elven Mana Spreader. There we go. We need a petal. Come over here to petals. 24. Elven Mana Spreader. It is not a thing that we need especially, so I'm not worried about it. Weird. I heard a thing. How's this doing for power? Okay, good enough. So that gives us the Elven Mana Spreader. We'll do that. The Conjuration Catalyst. Okay, so the Conjuration Catalyst is actually really good. Oh, look, it's food. Conjuration Catalyst. Conjuration Catalyst. Basically, we need to take one of these, and we're going to need 2 brewing stands. 1, 2. We're going to need a Mana Pearl, so let's get an Ender Pearl. Ender Pearl. Let's make a bunch, because why wouldn't we? Let's toss those in there. We need that. Go. We need that. Go. Okay, so let's make a sticky piston. Sticky piston. Go. Let's come over here. So let's put that there. Let's go ahead and get a wrench. And rotate that. Of course it doesn't rotate. Why would it rotate? I have to say, these Thaumcraft crystals are everywhere. Like, they are everywhere. Let's try breaking this, and maybe we can do it. How did I do the other one? Ah, maybe that's how I did it. So, pretend, for example, that you are lever. Perfect. Pretend, for example, that you are on a skyblock or something. Let's take that off. And you need, say, redstone. You've got like a redstone left. You have a recipe that calls for a couple of them. So the conjuration catalyst basically allows you to turn one thing into more than one thing. Whereas the alchemy catalyst allows you to convert it from one thing into another. Okay, we're going to turn the music off now. I guess we could just do this. So, using the alchemy catalyst, we get glowstone from it. Using the conjuration catalyst, we get extra. And without anything, just turns it into mana powder, which you can just use gunpowder for, so that's pretty much a waste. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can just make extras of. And that turns out to be really useful in a lot of different circumstances. But, boom, 2. So, that is a thing, it is a good thing, it is great. And that quest is complete. Take that. Now we need dispersive, dominant, dispersive, recessive, and isolated. So dispersive. This is going to require a rune of water. Okay, so we're actually going to have to go through and make a bunch more runes. Those brewing stands. So we're going to need fishing rods, bone meal, mana steel, and mana powder. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can go away. Sugarcane, I think, was one of the things. Mana steel and mana powder. I'm actually just kind of tired of making them, so we're just going to batch do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to craft. Let's get some living rock. Now, because Botania realizes that you're going to have to do this a couple of times, we can just repeat the recipe and keep going. Now, it only draws from things that you can have stacks. So, like you saw the fishing rod, it didn't stack, so it didn't do it. So, but what the sparks do, dispersive basically says whatever is put into this mana pool, it will automatically send out to anything with the spark nearby. So you will never be able to do it. You know, it will never fill unless everything else with a spark on it nearby is full. It will always try to empty itself via the spark network. But yeah, if you have all the ingredients ready, the crafting isn't too bad for this. It does actually use quite a bit of mana, so, you know, keep an eye on that. So, dispersive. So that gives us that. We can chuck that, chuck that, chuck that. Alright, so we have the dispersive spark. Now we need a recessive spark. So, I'm sorry. Do you mind? The dispersive spark, I believe it fills any reservoir that you have on you when you are within range. Not yet. Oh, the bow is in a weird place. Weird. We don't care about that. Let's have some leeks. Scallions. Okay. Scallions. Let's eat scallions. And the recessive is the one that feeds to everything nearby. It is precisely the opposite of the dominant. So now we need isolated. So what an isolated spark does, isolated, is the isolated spark says that this spark doesn't actually have anything to do with the network at all. Like none of the sparks will either put into it or pull out of it. So that's pretty handy, like if you need something with the spark but you don't want it to interfere. Oh, I have a guardian. I was gonna automate guardians and I never did. Doesn't matter. But that gives us this quest. We're actually nearly done. That gives you a Mana Seer Monocle. Okay, so the Mana Seer Monocle is really cool. If you pop this in, and you look, so when I'm looking at the flowers, you'll notice the ground lights up. So this endo flame, that is its range to pick stuff up. And then I can see like any of the functional flowers, you know, it shows its range. This can be helpful if, for example, you have like hopper hawks and stuff like that, and you want to make sure that they don't pick anything up. I have no idea what that does, but sure. So it's pretty great. You know, in case you care. We'll probably leave it in the system for the moment because I'm not precisely sure that we need it. let's get rid of that. I wonder if the system is starting to clog up. We might, maybe just got a little bit behind. I don't know. So that's all the sparks. So Sojourner Sash. Sojourner Sash basically makes you run faster, jump higher, and gives you step assist. It makes you the Bionic Steve, I guess. Although without the slow motion and the weird noises and the, you know, sweats. Although I suppose you could have sweats if you really wanted. Sojourner Sash. It's not super difficult to make, but you do need the Rune of Earth and the Rune of Air, which we do not have. So let's go ahead and make 5 of those. Actually, let's call it here. I'll go ahead and knock together a bunch of the runes behind the scenes. I mean, you've seen how they're made. They're not super challenging. I mean, if we look at it, here we go. Tanya rune. So water, you know, and then as you get into, so you have the primary 3, and then mana, which is like over here for some reason. And then after that, you have the Rune of Spring, and you know, each of the runes of the season, and there's 4 of those, require 2 of the elemental runes, and other things represented. So any, you know, spring is any saplings, and then wheat. Summer is sand because people go to beaches, and watermelon, and for some reason slime. I don't know why slime, but apparently that's a summer thing. Autumn is air and fire, any leaves, and a spider eye. Maybe because of Halloween? I don't know. Winter is cake, probably for parties, snow, white wool, Rune of Earth, Rune of Water. And then you get into the 7 deadlies. You have the Rune of Lust. And all of the 7 deadly sin runes, they require 2 runes. And it'll be 1 elemental and then 1 seasonal and 2 mana diamonds. And it does not, as far as I'm aware, does not use up these runes to make other runes. So you can actually just kind of keep grinding these out. And it isn't unless you use them in a crafting recipe or a flower recipe that they actually get removed. So it's not too bad as far as that goes. So it used to be that you had to make them fresh every time, and that was super grindy. But that is no longer a thing and hasn't been for quite a while. But I'm going to go ahead and try to knock out a bunch of runes before we go, and then we'll get back into this. There is, in fact, a second Guardian fight that we'll have to do. And we have a couple of minor things that we're going to need to do to get around that. And then we're going to want to go through, and these are generating flowers, and they are actually better than the Endoflame, although unnecessary for what we're doing. If we did need more power faster, then I would probably go to some of these. Thermalily basically eats lava. Narslimus, of course, eats slimes. Gormalius eats food. So honestly, this one would be pretty solid because we could basically just drop all of our Pam's food. This eats cake. It only eats cake. And you just place them nearby and it eats it. Munchdew eats leaves and it turns it into power. Entropinium, this one is kind of scary and you really want to make sure that your timing is good. So what the Entropinium does is you blow up a piece of TNT near it and it absorbs it, and then after it absorbs it, it sends the mana into a spreader and whatever. But if it has any mana in it at all, it doesn't absorb the explosion. Then we have the Hopper Hawk. Hopper Hawk is basically a vacuum hopper. It will absorb without power everything in a 5-block radius that's sitting on the ground. If you give it mana, it will absorb everything at 12-block radius. On top of that, if it is adjacent, and it puts it into any chest that it's adjacent to. If the chest has an item frame with something in the item frame, it will only pick up what's in the item frame to put in that chest. If you have 4 adjacent chests, or it's a floating one and you have 6 adjacent chests, for example, each with item frames on it, and then you can have item frames on all of the exposed sides, then it will correctly put into whatever chest whatever is in the item frame, on any side. Orchid Ignum, basically it makes ores in Netherrack. It's the regular orchid. Oh, this only works in the Nether. This makes ores in cooked stone, and it does it in the overworld. Bellathorn is a hostile plant, so it doesn't hurt players, but it does damage to any nearby entity. Lunium is a bit crazy. For the name, it requires excessive amounts of mana. You put a chest in its range, which is generally next to it, I believe, and it will generate dungeon loot. So all the stuff that you find in chests in dungeons, it will generate. So this is a really good flower, especially for the way that we have like the endoflames set up. It will stop all magnets from working in its radius. Very cool. Jaded Amaranthus. So you put this down, you give it power, it will automatically generate mystic flowers in nearby dirt and grass. So it's really cool. Clayconia, you give it sand, and it's not placed sand blocks, it's dropped sand blocks, I believe. It's one or the other. It's either blocked or placed. But that will actually get us through all of this section. And we will cover that in the next episode. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'm glad you did. Questions, comments, concerns can all go below. And I hope you have a great night.